Truth, we're the ones who fight, and we're ready for you. When the truth's forever, we're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. Locked and loaded, the truth's forever, we're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No change, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing, no second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No chains, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. Where the strong survive, we're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, and we're in for you. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who bite, and we're in for you. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who fight, and we're ready for you. Locked and loaded, the truth's forever. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. Locked and loaded, the truth's forever. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. No running, no bluffing, no running. No running, no running, no running. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No change, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing. No second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. Welcome to the doghouse, where the strong survive. We're tearing down the walls, no compromise. No filter, no mercy, just a cold hard truth. We're the ones who fight, and we're ready for you. When the truth's forever, we're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. Locked and loaded, the truth's forever. We're breaking down the doors, no more shadows in the doghouse. It's all or nothing, we're here to fight, no bluffing, no running. We don't back down, we stand our ground in the doghouse, where the real are found. No change, no fear, just pure aggression. We're here to win, no second guessing, no second guessing. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. This is the doghouse, time to face the sound. We don't back down.
Alrighty, we are going to start the stream a little bit early just because of the fact that the theme song stopped playing, which is kind of boring, right? You're just sitting there like, I'm just seeing flames. I got to do that thing on a loop. But guys, I hope you guys are great. Hope you guys are doing amazing. For anyone who's tuning in on YouTube, Twitter, whatever it may be, welcome in, guys. Super excited to have y'all. I've been stirring up things a little bit more than I probably ought to. But we're going to be doing quite a bit discussing. There was actually a lot of news today, which is great. Yesterday was kind of boring. There was only like one little thing that took place, a thing or two. Not a whole lot. So I'm glad that today was a little bit more exciting. There were some topics about the Trump-Harris economy. It's funny because as soon as I saw it, somebody else kind of tweeted it. So I was like, oh, okay. So we're on the same wavelength. I get it. We're also going to be doing some call-ins later on. If anybody wants to call in and debate me on the economy, I'm okay with talking about it. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be going over the Trump town hall that just took place. And we're going to talk a little bit about divisive rhetoric. Divisive rhetoric. There was something that took place yesterday. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say within TOS, but let's just say somebody decided to do something. It was not good. Fortunately, the president's okay, which is what matters. But yeah, so that led to the Republicans trying to gaslight. Actually, I'd say MAGA more than anything. Try to gaslight the American people and say that, trying to sit there and say that this was the Democrats' fault, which it wasn't, but they wanted to certainly try to push that narrative. What's going on, Miss Mandy? What's going on? Welcome in, welcome in. Glad to see us, see the YouTube folks coming in here. We are trying to work on getting it to expand. Got to see, yeah, exactly, absolutely. I'm getting to see. I'm trying to expand our YouTube. So what we're kind of doing right now is we're going into TikTok, posting a video, and then reposting it on YouTube while we're trying to film some content. There are some exciting stuff coming. I know you were in here before, Miss Mandy, and we talked about it. But anybody who may be new on YouTube, Twitter even, we are going to be doing some live, not live, but content out in the field. What's going on, Courtaholic? Yeah, Miss Mandy, I got to check you out. I got to check you out on your stream or your YouTube channel. I haven't gotten a chance to look it out. I wanted to do it last time, but I ended up forgetting. So I'm going to check your channel out and see what it's about. But feel free to shout yourself out too. If you got a YouTube channel, I want to share some love as well. But yeah, guys, so let's just jump straight into it. We're going to kind of talk about the economy first and foremost. So the Dow Jones and NASDAQ both hit, I believe, record highs. Let's go ahead and check this. I want to see if this is what happened. It's been a minute. I looked at it this morning. So we didn't break record highs, which is sad, but we got really close to it. Record high right now for the past 5 years is 18,398. And right now we're at 17,628. Still pretty good though. So not terrible. If we look at the Dow Jones actually went down a little bit today. That's okay. Nothing crazy, right? By the way, nothing I tell you guys is financial advice, nor is it really even financial advice to begin with. It does look like within year to date wise. Yo, what's going on, Miss April? Welcome in. Year to date wise, we are up to a high of 41,622.08. Guys, we are at 41,606.18. For the past 5 years, the highest 41, we're at the record high. Dow Jones hit the record high. So we are at a record high stock market. And this is kind of where I want to hit off a little bit. A lot of people, a lot of Republicans and MAGA and thing like that, they don't really want to talk about the economy. Why? Because the economy is doing really well. I'll give you kind of a summary before we dive into exactly what it is that's going on. Okay. The Biden-Harris economy is doing really, 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 really well. The problem is that you have a lot of people that don't quite understand how inflation works. Deflation is not a good thing. Okay. So what the goal is to bring inflation down to a manageable level. What does that do? It allows them time and opportunity to try to have more money supply going into the stock market. So that's kind of, or not stock market, have more money going into the economy, whether that be higher wages, whether that be other things, things of that nature. So a lot of people sit here and go, but doghouse. I go to the grocery store and I don't see prices down to where they used to be. That's what they tell me, right? They're like, I don't see my eggs. My eggs are still expensive. Yes. And I tell you this, a lot of people forget about this. When I was growing up in the 2000s, we talked about this a little bit on the Political Compass. Shout out to the Political Compass show. If you haven't watched that, definitely go back and rewatch the rewind. Is that the economy's not going to go, we're not going to see prices go back down significantly. They may go down, but they're not going to be back to where they were pre-COVID. Let me explain why. Let's think about this. Growing up in the early 2000s, the price of gas was probably like what, $1.50, depending on the 2000s, right? 2008 was pretty bad. But we're not going to see 99-cent gas anymore. As much as Republicans may try to sit there and convince you that we're going to go back to those days are long gone. Why? Because inflation exists. A little bit of inflation is a good thing. And so what the thing is about this, we did just go through it. Exactly. So the thing about this is again, we are going to see about 2% inflation, right? That's kind of, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of like the golden standard essentially, right? Is that you want to kind of hit about a 2% mark. Well, I've got some good news for you guys. Let me see if I have it saved. I don't know if I have it saved. Let's see here. Here we go. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys. So here is the Biden-Harris economy and how it's doing. What you guys will notice is that here around May of 2020, you saw it dip real low. Inflation dipped almost to 0%. Well, what happened from January to May? Lots of lockdowns. Everything was going absolutely berserk. And guess what? We started to creep. Okay. I want to take note of December 2020 because this is another thing that MAGA conservatives will forget all the time about. And it's so extremely frustrating. Okay. Here's the thing I want people to remember. Okay. So there was a little bump right here in May to June. I'm going to look this one up because I haven't done this first part yet, but let me look this up and I'll finish my rant. Should have had it pulled up. I believe it was around this time, right? There it is. So Donald Trump around March 27th of 2020. So right about here. Oh, come on. Right about there. March 2020 was when the CARES Act passed. A lot of people forget about this thing, okay? You can't see it. The CARES Act was, I believe, like $1 trillion. That's just ballpark. I think it was like $1 trillion. Go back over here. It was about $1 trillion. Okay, both of these packages were about $1 trillion. So what do you notice? Well, from March, come on, let's work with me. It goes down March, and then May. It goes down really low. But guess what? It starts to rise in June, August, and then we kind of hit a lull. Right? Here's December. December is another very important part. Why? Because a lot of people forget about this number 2 part, which was Donald Trump passed a second, say it with me again, second stimulus bill. Now watch what happens, guys. Watch what happens. Biden comes in around this point right here. And then all of a sudden, it starts to skyrocket. Look at that. Peaking at about 9.1%. So why do I tell people this? I tell people this to understand that when you look at the inflation numbers that are going on, when you look at inflation going on, what ends up happening is it goes up and then it starts to come down. And we are now approaching almost 2.5%, which if you look at pre-pandemic levels, thank you, by the way, Miss Mandy, for that. I appreciate that. I forgot all about that. Working on having the multi-stream going, so I appreciate you mentioning that. It's okay. I've got 9 lives, right? So if you look at it here, pre-pandemic, we're right here at right about February night. Look at that. 1.5. I think we started to see about 1.7, 1.8. So when I point out 2.5%, guys, we have to give credit to the Biden and Harris administration because they ended up bringing this down from a record high of 9.1, carrying over what they were given to them. And then it just goes down and down and down and down and down. Now, I want to mention to you guys something else to see here. Notice right here, these are the medium usual weekly real earnings or wage for wage and salary workers 16 and over. Look at this. Notice something really interesting here, right? Do you see this spike? And then it kind of goes down, right? So what this tells me, if we look at Q2 of 2020, it spiked. So right around Q2, look at that delay, right? Right around Q2 would have been right about here. So we saw a big old spike right around here, and all of a sudden inflation follows. Why might that be? Oh, that's because we injected more money into the economy. So that's exactly what happened here. And then as you notice, it starts to go back down. So here's what we're starting to see. And I want to bring this right back to my summary here, okay? It's important to understand the reason why we're bringing this up is that I'm saying that it's not the Biden-Harris administration to blame for why we had record inflation. It's the Trump administration. The Trump administration was responsible for 2 very large stimulus packages, 2 stimulus checks, which people forget about. They also wanted to go in and provide, Trump wanted his signature on those checks. People forget about that as well. People forget that Donald Trump wanted those good old stimmy checks with his name on it. People forget about that. But now he doesn't want to take responsibility. Now he wants to say, no, guys. It's not me. It's not me. It's those guys. Here's what tends to happen time and time again. Is that what we end up seeing is that Democrats do tend to take on that burden from poor Republican economic policies. Now, I understand that there was a national event, and I'm saying that for YouTube, national event that took place in the 2020s, which did certainly lead to a little bit of that. But let me put it this way. What may have been a small kindle of a fire, okay, because of the supply chain issues that may have occurred during that time, you don't go and put a 2-gallon jug of gasoline onto a Kindle. What do you expect to happen? It's going to engulf in flames. And we saw this right around that time. And I remember this very vividly because I was on YouTube at that, or Twitch arguing about this at the time. What we ended up seeing is record high retail sales right around May, June, or July. And keep in mind, let's go back a little bit more. Let's keep refreshing our memories about what took place in 2020. Keep in mind that a lot of states were adding bonus money to their unemployment numbers. There was that. You also had the stimmy checks. Those were obvious. Then what we also saw was companies trying to bring back employees by raising wages. So we saw a bunch of these catalysts of events that are now leading to this. Well, good news, guys, is going back to my summary. Prices are not going to go down significantly. Okay. The days of like $2 eggs or whatever the prices were in 2019 are gone. Okay. Inflation is here. Inflation has always been here. And people tend to continue to, people tend to kind of mix these thoughts up, right? They say, well, prices have gone up, thus inflation's high. Yes, prices are high. But think about this. When you went to the store a year ago, right? Or let's say a year and a half ago, okay, and it was like, I don't know, $3 for a carton of eggs. I'm just throwing ballpark numbers here. And then you go in about half a year later, 6 months later, and you go, oh, my eggs went up to $5 a carton. Well, that's pretty high, right? That's pretty high. Now, I don't think it was that high, but that's pretty high. Well, what if your eggs went from $5 to $5.10 a carton? within 6 months. Oh, it's still going up, but that's always happened. I'm not trying to bury my head in the sand by telling you guys this, but it's important people understand prices go up. That is how the economy works. Deflation is a very bad thing that we do not want to have in this economy. Okay? So understand that prices are going to be high. When I say that inflation has gone down, what I am specifically referring to, so that it's abundantly clear to anybody out there in the ether, when I say inflation has gone down, it does not mean prices have gone down. This is similar to when people sit there and say, well, profits equal liquid cash. That's not the truth. This is what I'm talking about with the inflation month over or year over. I think it's year over year. I'd look at it. I think it's month over month. Has gone down. It's down to 2.5%. That's good. Who gets the credit here? It's, in my opinion, it is Kamala Harris and Biden. Now, let's look at this article that popped up over here. Okay. Oh, not here. Here. Where are you at? Here it is. U.S. retail sales ticked up last month in sign of ongoing consumer resilience. What might this be leading to? Well, guys, let's look back over here. You notice how wages are starting to go back up? That's exactly what I think is going on right now. So, when you go and look at seeing this, the U.S. retail sales ticked up last month in sign of ongoing consumer resilience. What is presumably happening is that we are having more money coming into the economy. More people now are being able to outpace that inflation. So it's really interesting to see that. The other thing I wanted to mention is going back to what we talked about, and I think this kind of puts a little nice bow tie on the economy and seeing what things are going on. When you look at this and you see that the borrowing by President Trump for just non-pandemic relief was $4.8 trillion. For pandemic relief, it was $3.6 trillion. Now look at Biden's spending. It's almost as if the conservatives and the Democrats have flipped their fiscal policy. It's phenomenal. Now there has been the Inflation Reduction Act, and I do have something to pull that up, and we can look through there and walk through it a little bit. I don't mind doing this. Let me go ahead and find it here. I had it pulled up. Where are we at? Economy. I gotta find it. Here, I'll just look it up for you guys. Welcome in, by the way, red-pilled brown girl. Welcome in, welcome in. So let me see. Inflation Reduction Act. I'm trying to pull up the snippet that I got, and yes, it is from the White House, so it's not. It's they're obviously going to cover the nice, pretty things, but it's important to kind of go over this because I think a lot of people kind of gloss over this. They don't really want to address kind of the ins and outs of these Inflation Reduction Acts that took place. So let's go over here. So we won't cover all of this because it is extremely long, but you can see here. In the 2 years since the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law, just yesterday, the president and vice president announced that for the first time in history, Medicare successfully negotiated lower prescription drug prices. This is one of the big things that Kamala Harris is running on. Millions of Americans save an average of $800 per year on health insurance premiums. This depends. Again, I'm working for a smaller company, and I can tell you what, I'm not saving any money, so I'll be fair to that. Let's see here. The IRS successfully piloted the direct file in 12 states, 740,000 people. Yes, I do remember this. This is something that you could file directly through the IRS. This is really interesting. Saving 140,000 people an estimated $5.6 million in tax preparation fees by enabling the filer taxes directly. So I think when you look at that, that's pretty good. I don't know if it would have been a significant difference, but it could definitely help, right? Last year, 3.4 million Americans benefited from $8.4 billion in Inflation Reduction Act tax credits to lower the cost of clean energy and energy efficiency upgrades in their homes. So these are those home upgrades. And this is something I've noticed with the Kamala Harris campaign, is Kamala Harris is running full force at tax credits. It is wild to me. She has addressed the child tax credits. I believe she addressed first-time homebuyer tax credits. Oh, and then builder tax credits. Tax credits for everyone. It's amazing. She announced that today, that part of her $25,000 first-time home buyer assistance program is that she's going to give tax credits to $25,000, or she's going to give tax credits to home builders to help build up that supply, which is interesting to me. I have always said this from the very beginning, that if any politician wants to really meet in the middle, it's via tax credits. Republicans sleep on this. It's like, look, I get that you don't like, Medicare for all or whatever it may be. Tax credits are the way to go. Why? Because it meets in the middle. You can kind of means test it a little bit. And you're also able to provide an actual way of kind of providing money in essence to Americans via maybe refundable tax credits or things like that. So I think it's a really great idea. I know that my son and his wife went to buy a house in 25,000. Yeah, it would be nice. And I think what's going to happen, and we're kind of jumping the gun a little bit here. One of the things I would say is with the first-time home buyer assistance programs, I think what we're going to see from that is there's going to be some kind of qualifications, right? A lot of the scare that's going on by conservatives right now about this first-time home buyer down payment assistance, I think it's not really based in reality. I think most people ought to understand that if she were to get this passed, it's going to have some serious stipulations, right? It may be based on income. It may be based on credit score. It could be based on a whole number of things. So this isn't going to be a blank check like the Republicans and MAGA wants you to believe. And I think people need to really look into that and have a very sane mind when you're looking at what's going to be taking place with these tax credits. We see that already, right? And you could argue that because of all these tax credits, it's going to expand the tax code. And that's fine. We already have a massive one. Yo, No Pants Kyle, thank you for joining, buddy. I appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. So that's just a few of those things about the Inflation Reduction Act. Hey, Miss Mandy, I really appreciate the support. I really do. It's something that we're really grinding on with YouTube, and I appreciate you sharing that love. I'm gonna have to definitely check you out. Shout out to you, Miss Mandy, the real superhero right now. So let's go into the next topic. I think we're about kind of wrapping up. Let's see here. Oh, here's another thing I want to talk about before we move on. This is from Kamala HQ. So sorry, any MAGA in the chat. It says Representative Jake Ouch to Fox. Kamala Harris wants to put money directly in the pockets of families through the child tax credit expansion, which I'm all for. I got 2 kiddos. Definitely could use some child tax credits because boy, do I need it. Daycare is ridiculously expensive. Donald Trump does not. Kamala Harris wants to build 3 million more units of housing to lower rent and mortgage costs. Donald Trump's housing policy is mass detention camps. Donald Trump wants to raise the costs on average American families by $3,900 through his tariff policy, which we will pivot into shortly. I probably should have had that prepared next, but we'll get into that one shortly. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, wants to inject up to $50,000 of tax-deductible benefits to small businesses. And guys, this is huge, huge, huge. Remember that I believe it was Reagan that did trickle-down economics, right? And I think this is so fascinating to me because I've said this time and time and time and time again. Thank you. Hey, Miss Mandy, I respect that. I would still consider myself Republican for most part, but I think I'm more liberal now just because of the way I view things, right? I was a former Republican and I was told you don't worship Trump, so we don't want you part of our party. And now I am in isolation. I don't know where I belong, right? It's like I don't have a candidate on the Republican side that I believe is the best fit. And we'll get into why on that in a second. But at the same time, going to kind of pick up where I was at, there was a time where these policies would have been Republican. And so I tell people this, that look, out of all the Democrat, like even with Obamacare, okay, Obamacare ended up being just a blank check in essence, right? But with this, she's like, hey, I'll give you a tax credit. That's pretty cool. And so for me, when I look at Kamala Harris, I'm like, look, you know what? I think that if you're a Republican, now would be a good time. I think that what you're going to get from Kamala is probably a watered down liberal version of things. And when I say liberal, I'm not talking about socialists or things like that. Liberal meaning literally like center left. Okay. So I think based on these tax credits, I think giving $50,000 of tax deductible benefits. Now I'm curious to see and break that apart and see what these deductible benefits are, but certainly could help small businesses. I know my parents own a small business. They would absolutely love to have something like that. And this is the other problem I have with Trump's economic policies. Trump's economic policies right now are essentially drill baby drill. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to show you guys his economic policies. And you'll see it's kind of vague. And the issue I have with some of Trump's policies, to be quite honest with you, are that there are times where I can't think of them off the top of my head, where when you end up looking at his economic policies versus when he's on the campaign trail, his messaging is a little bit all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like his, when we'll get into this also, his IVF thing. We don't know if he supports it, if he doesn't. And we just had Republicans turn down a bill on that. We'll go over that in a minute. Trying to find it right now. All right. So this is real short, real simple. We'll cover this as well real quick so you guys can see the comparison here. Remember, Kamala is really approaching this from tax credits. Now let's look into Trump's Agenda 47. This is a detailed list of all the things that he wants to attack. Unleash American energy. Under President Trump, the U.S. became the #1 producer of oil and natural gas in the world, and we will soon be again by lifting the restrictions on American energy production and terminating the socialist Green New Deal, which I don't remember if we ever passed that. Republicans will unleash energy production from all sources, including nuclear, to immediately slash inflation and power American homes, cars, and factories with reliable, abundant, and affordable energy. Good luck. First of all, it's going to take several years to get nuclear even near close. Rein in wasteful federal spending. Republicans will immediately stabilize the economy by slashing wasteful government spending and promoting economic growth. We'll get into what they are possibly looking at trying to slash, which, spoiler alert, most of you guys know where they like to kind of slash their money, and it's usually on the tail end of 65 years old. Cut costly and burdensome regulations. Republicans will reinstate President Trump's deregulation policies, which saved Americans $11,000 per household, and Democrats' regulatory onslaught that disproportionately harms low and middle income households. This is very vague. Very, very vague. I'm curious which regulatory policies saved Americans, or deregulatory policies saved Americans $11,000 per household. I don't know where he's getting that. This one, stop illegal immigration. Republicans will secure the border, deport illegal aliens, and reverse the Democrats' open border policies that have driven up the cost of housing, education, and healthcare for American families. I don't know where this is borne out. No, none of the inflation that we have seen over the past several years has anything to do with this. From what I can tell, like we saw, we just looked at the charts. You could maybe argue that some of these people coming in here are causing that, but I just don't see it. Restore peace through strength. War breeds inflation while geopolitical stability brings price stability. Republicans win the global chaos and restore peace through strength, reducing geopolitical risk and lowering commodity prices. So the war breeds inflation. I don't know if this is entirely true. It just depends. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, if my history serves me correctly, in the 1940s with World War II, we saw an economic boom. Now, maybe I'm incorrect on that, but I believe, if I remember correctly, factories were producing. We were doing, I believe it was like, Lend-Lease or something like that. But Biden doesn't do as much as the president. We know Trump did decent, right? Well, so that's the thing, Courtaholic, is I think that when we look at Kamala's, and I have some of her stuff up here. When we look at Biden, I get why people would feel that way. But I think that if we look at the Inflation Reduction Act, which we brought up, which is over here, I think signing this bill into law was amazing. Now, again, the president is more or less just a spokesperson, right? They're really trying to rally the base. They're really trying to rally people to Congress people to try to vote to pass legislation. And so this, to me, I think this was his big law. And you can just scroll down here, and I'll put it in chat for anybody who wants to see it. There we go. Is that what you want to settle for? Is decent? No offense. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? Exactly, Miss Mandy. If you look at, again, guys, I'm going to go back to this, okay, for Courtaholic. When we look at these inflation charts, this right here at December 2020 is when Trump passed the second stimulus bill. And notice what happens very quickly, all the way up to July of 2021. Biden had only been in office for 6 months. I'm going to give you all a spoiler alert. Most policy that is enacted by Congress doesn't necessarily take place this quickly. It usually takes a few months, if not years, to be enacted or actually get started. I forgot the exact word I'm looking for here. But once it actually gets moving and rolling, it takes a few months. So this spike we're seeing right here has, in my opinion, everything to do with the STEMI stuff. And again, we can go back to these wages, right? Look at these wages at Q1 all the way to Q2, and then they start to stagger down a little bit. But by this time at Q1, they're already going down. And guess what we're starting to see at Q1? Q1, we're starting to see prices skyrocket. So that's something to keep in mind is that we injected a ton of money right here, a ton of money. And then as it started to die down, guess what happens? Prices take a while to catch up, and there it goes. So that's why I'm trying to say is that when we look at this right here, I don't know if I would call this decent. I think this is a horrible, horrible policy. $8.4 trillion. That's insane. That is insane. So we're gonna kind of move off of this a little bit. We're gonna move into some rhetoric. Okay. Let's see here. And here we'll listen to this. We'll finish this off with this right here. Okay, guys. This is Kamala Harris at the NABJ panel in Philadelphia today. We're going to go ahead and give this a little listen.
Voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you do and that your members do every day. It is very important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platforms to deliver the voices that must be heard. So I thank you for hosting me today. 4 years ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries. We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president as it relates to COVID and obviously January 6th.
Both words that are probably not super YouTube friendly. So YouTube, I am sorry. Luckily, I am not monetized, so getting demonetized won't happen.
And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing.
And let me address that too real quick. The new jobs. So I've heard this going around. They said, oh, well, they adjusted them. Yep, they adjusted them under Trump as well.
Jobs. We have the lowest black unemployment rate in generations. We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new black small businesses in years. We have done the work of capping the cost of prescription medication for our seniors for issues like insulin. And again, I'm speaking to the black journalists who care about all people, but in particular, I'll talk about the impact on black people, where we know black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes.
What's going on, dear world Christian? Welcome in, welcome in.
And we have now finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month, capped the cost of prescription medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year, because we, unlike the former president who promised to do it, we finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices against the big pharmaceutical companies. And these are just some of the accomplishments. Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era.
And she's basically saying exactly what I've been saying, guys, which is, look, are grocery prices too high? Yes, they are high. But understand that we're not looking at deflation, okay? Inflation is all about trying to tame inflation and trying to get that down to a point of where instead of prices going up $1 every month, it's going up by 10 cents every month. What does that allow to happen? I'm going to kind of cap this topic off to move on to the next one, which is, look, this is what's important. Bring it down to where it only goes up by 10 cents. And then guess what? Your wages go up, or everyone's wages go up by 20 cents. Now, guess what? Now more people are able to afford goods. And we saw that in a report that I've already closed. But basically what ended up happening was now it looks like consumer goods are making a comeback. And I expect, this is just a prediction, we shall see if I'm right. I think we're going to see a really high Black Friday sales. I think we're going to see really good consumer purchases for Christmas. I think those are going to be really, really high. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right on that. So now we're going to move on to rhetoric. Rhetoric. So if anyone who isn't aware, last week we saw JD Vance and Donald Trump make some headlines. JD Vance, for anyone who isn't aware, JD Vance was tweeting out about how the Haitians are abducting cats and they're abducting dogs. Okay. That was the narrative that was going. Okay. Thank you, Miss Manny, for the shout out. I appreciate it. So this was the narrative. It was they're taking the cats, they're taking the dogs. Now, I thought this was just going to stay within Twitter sphere. Okay. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you're on Twitter, you're like, look, okay, hopefully this doesn't go too crazy. But the moment I saw JD Vance, I said, oh no, this is going places. It ended up leaking into the debate. They got the infamous viral video now of Trump going, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Okay. Crazy. And let's just address that for a second. This entire narrative is based on nothing but what people are saying. And I've had people sit there and go, doghouse, but the town hall, the citizens, that's great. That doesn't tell me anything. People can say all sorts of things. It means nothing. It means nothing to me. Give me hard data. Give me evidence. And then I'm hearing that they're busing people in. Where? No one's provided it for me yet. Still, to this day, a week later, I have not seen anything about them busing people in to the city. I would believe more that the Republicans were the ones that were busing them into the Springfield than I would say that Democrats are busting them into Springfield. Here's a little known fact. After doing some research, the Haitians have come to this country because of a 2010 earthquake in Haiti. What ended up happening was Obama ended up putting in a temporary protection status. In 2016, when Donald Trump came in, he tried to remove that status, only for the courts to say, no, you can't do that. And so Donald Trump was forced to put in place the temporary protection status again, and they extended it up until about 2020. Now we get the Biden and Harris administration. The Biden and Harris administration came in, and they also extended the temporary protection status. No one wants to mention this temporary protection status going on by the Trump administration. Now, you may say, well, okay, but it was forced by the courts. It doesn't matter. He had to extend it, and he extended it. So Trump had a hand in this. People forget about this. So now we get to about, I believe it was yesterday. We're going to only mention this very briefly because I don't want to give too much light to this incident. An incident took place at Trump's golf course where somebody was stopped from harming the president. It was crazy. It was wild. They chased him down. They arrested him, and they are looking into all of his things. So far, he's been charged with felon in possession of a firearm. That investigation alone has now become political, and they're saying that Ron DeSantis should be investigating this. Guys, this happened yesterday. Okay, keep that in mind. It happened yesterday, and we saw JD Vance, all these Republicans who just got done bashing all these Haitians in this little tiny town. They're creating if anyone doesn't know what this is, they're creating a sundown town out of this poor town that didn't ask for all of this. You're having a whole bunch of threats going on at this town. It's insane. Mind you, this all started because conservatives were posting all of these heinous things about this community. Now, this incident happens yesterday, and they go, I kid you not, they go, we need to tone down the rhetoric. We need to tone down the rhetoric, guys. Y'all guys, you guys, the Democrats, the Kamala Harris supporters, you guys need to tone down the rhetoric. It's like, wait. We're being gaslit here. This is classic gaslighting, okay? And guess what? I predicted. I said, I give it 24 hours before they're back to their same old antics. And guys, this was posted 4 days ago. I want to make that clear. However, Dan Bongino ended up reposting it this morning. This was this morning. Okay. Let's go ahead and share the screen with you.
Your own company. F these people. Whatever they tell you can't do, you go do it. And then you start your own company. And then you get your own advertisers. That's how you do it. You pulled a Leo DiCaprio from Wolf of Wall Street, just don't defraud anyone. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. You tell these liberals, I will haunt you sons of bitches for the rest of your lives on this planet. YouTube decided to cancel me. YouTube sends me a letter and an email. We're canceling you. You said masks don't work. They said, you got to pull this video down. I said, I got a better idea. I'm going to cancel you idiots, and I'm going to go advocate for a platform, and then Rumble went and sued them later for like screwing them up. I'm like, this, screw these people. Don't ever let them beat you down. Ever. Ever. Whatever they tell you not to do, you do times 10.
What does the HR department in your company say when you talk like this?
Tone down the rhetoric. That's what was said. Let's go to the next one here. Brian Krasenstein. Shout out to Brian. If he's replied to a few of my tweets. Waiting for him to. I might need to message him. I'd love to have him on at some point. And I just have been trying to build up the channel a little bit before I start doing some big invites like that, right? Here's some of the list of comments that have been made. Okay. Trump tells Arizona rally that Kamala Harris is a threat to democracy. Trump claims Kamala Harris committed a coup and asserts that Joe Biden is akin to an authoritarian because he was behind all 4 indictments against Trump. Trump refers to Biden as human scum that is working so hard to destroy our once great country. And so all these different things, the tweets an image of Joe Biden's hide up in the back of a pickup truck. And there's just a list of all the times. So I'll share this one as well. It was crazy. And then we have this. This was this today. And these were the comments by the director of Texas Department of Public Safety, Steve McGraw, sorry. Mixed up two totally different people.
I can find it harsh using the term, infestation and cockroaches and things like that. All you have to do is interview or spend some time with some victims, some migrant victims that are here in this country. And you'll understand that the governor has not overstated the issue. In fact, he's well stated the issue. And Texas is not going to allow any part of this state to be infested with that type of disease. I mean, somebody can find.
So that's the categorization of migrants, similar to the Haitian issue. And where else is it? Make sure to see if I had other ones here. Okay, so I think this is... Okay, so yeah, that's about that. So yeah, so the tone down the rhetoric stuff I thought was very interesting to me. Seeing the tone down the rhetoric when we have just gotten done with you guys talking about Haitian migrants, very vile conversations. I was like, no. If anyone needs to tone down the rhetoric right now, when we look at Trump's platform versus Kamala Harris, you may say that Kamala Harris flip-flops. That's fine. I get it. I understand why you would believe that. But if it was a choice between Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Coach Walz, as I like to call him, okay? Like I like to do that one time and time again, versus Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who categorize these migrants in this kind of a manner, saying they wanted to deport. I believe even Donald Trump said he wanted to deport legal migrants. My choice is very clear to me. I think Kamala Harris speaks to the American people. She speaks to the middle class. I think that is who I would rather have as president. So that was a short little stint on that. I didn't want to spend too much time on that. And speaking of J.D. Vance, J.D. Vance is not the greatest spokesperson for Donald Trump. Let's walk through a few of his gaffes. Okay. Let's see here. I have it pulled up here. Let's listen into a few of these gaffes.
And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president? No. Kamala Harris is running for president. And whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policies. Let's talk about the person running for president of the United States, not a
she said, wait, what did you just say? Wait, she said, hold on.
A social media personality who supports Donald Trump.
Senator.
And look, so
She was about to say, Senator, what the hell did you just say? Guys, it's not that hard to be, a normal person. Okay. It's not that hard to be a normal person. Yeah. And so this is the thing too, is Vance also said that, yeah, but if I made it up I made it up so that I could get your attention about the Haitian residents thing. So that was interesting. Also, it looks like JD Vance says that the United States will have support for NATO should be contingent on Europe's support for Elon Musk and Twitter, which is X now, by the way.
The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? Excuse me, it's insane that we would support.
I believe in politics, this is called American exceptionalism, right? Which is that you're going to bow down and kowtow to us and our beliefs, and we're not going to allow you to have your own national
identity. A military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to.
There were okay. Look, so I'm gonna be pretty reasonable here. This is why I try to be as reasonable as I possibly can. Let me just say this. There have been some wild stories that have come out of the UK. Okay. There's been some pretty crazy stories, especially with the protests that were going on and people being arrested for posting things online. I didn't check them all out. So I get that aspect, but to make our support contingent upon supporting Elon Musk or Twitter or whatever, it's pretty, I don't know if I completely agree with that. Also, JD Vance identifies Social Security as a target of the Trump administration to remove. And here's a little bit of that as well.
You are, and I am.
What agencies or departments of government would you start with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that, actually.
First of all, let's just rewind it. Tell me if you spot the issue here, okay? Remember, this is the vice presidential candidate. Let's rewind this.
What agencies or departments of government would you start with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that, actually.
Your entire platform is cutting deregulation, cutting regulations. And you haven't thought about what programs you're going to cut? Do what?
I mean, I think you got to start with fraud in what you might call the welfare system. Okay, so Section 8 housing. You are, and
okay, so it was cut off pretty short. But yeah, so Section 8 housing, the welfare system. God. Look, it's not that hard to just look a little bit sane. And this is probably why this is going on. This is where that concept of a plan came in. Where he was like, oh, well, I've got a concept of a plan. And then so that made it sound like, and this is, Joe Rogan is basically raving about Kamala Harris and mocking Donald Trump. Again, guys, going back to when we looked at what happened only about a month ago, I believe it was, Joe Rogan said, I'm probably going to be endorsing Kamala Harris. I believe he said something along those lines. And MAGA went nuts. This is the thing about MAGA that's so hard for me to really get behind. Okay. Not really hard. It is easy to not get behind. You have to just fall in line, right? That's all you have to do is fall in line and everybody will praise you. You don't have to think too much. You just got to fall in line. The moment you step out of line, you get called a socialist. You get called a communist. you get called all sorts of nasty things. This happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. It happened very quick, and if you didn't pay attention, you would have missed it. Kyle Rittenhouse came out and said, hey, look, I think Ron Paul has some great ideas. I don't know if I can completely support Donald Trump. Within 2 hours, the kid came back and said, hey, I just got off the phone with Donald Trump. I actually support Donald Trump for his Second Amendment policies. Convenient how that happened, right? And, you know, what's funny is JD Vance was talking about or not JD Vance, Rogan was talking about this part where Kamala Harris got him kind of riled up about the crowd sizes. Let me show you a little something here, okay? Let's take a look at this. This was the rally that JD Vance participated in today. Guys, this is really as small as it looks. I kid you not. This is a real life rally. But wait, there's more. Here is the outside of it. I'm not making this up. He said there's people outside waiting. I don't know about that, Chief. And if there was, why didn't you have a rally outside? I mean, I don't know. So it's pretty pretty bad. What are some other ones that we had up here? So here's JD Vance. Again, we're talking about calming down the rhetoric, right? We're talking about this earlier. Here's another part.
That is a path to slavery, and it's what Kamala Harris has been doing for 3.5 years. That is not.
So there's that rhetoric right there. And then the next one is, this is going back to what I was talking about earlier, guys, where there's a disconnect between JD Vance and Donald Trump. I think there's a total disconnect. And if we look at this.
Look, we can disagree with one another, we can debate one another, but we cannot tell the American people that one candidate is a fascist.
Kamala Harris is the first major party nominee in American history who fundamentally rejects freedom and embraces Marxism, communism, and fascism. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist. She's a fascist. These are fascists, they're communists, they're Marxists, they're radical left Democrats. They're sick people. We're living in a fascist state. Those are fascists, by the way. Those are the people that are a danger to the country. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists indict me, I can.
So and this is the thing too, is like, you know, JD Vance will come out and say, oh, that's what it was. The Haitian thing. JD Vance came out and said, yeah, I don't agree with all the threats and everything that's taking place. I don't agree with those. I disagree with it. But Donald Trump then comes out and goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. And just continuously does that. So that's always interesting. Here's another JD Vance clip.
What's even more disgraceful than the policy is the effort to silence the
that audio, by the way, guys, is coming from the video. So
residents of Springfield. I've seen this from the American media. A lot of people who pretend to be fair journalists. You know what they've been saying? For the last few days, Springfield has been experiencing an unbelievable number, something like 35, 40 bomb threats in Springfield in just the last few days. And you know what the governor of Ohio came out yesterday and said? Every single one of those bomb threats was a hoax. And all of those bomb threats came from foreign countries. So the American media for 3 days has been lying and saying that Donald Trump and I are inciting bomb threats.
Okay, wait, did y'all catch that? This is so frustrating. Did you catch that? Let's rewind that. I won't even rewind it. What he's saying is that, well, look, the governor came out and said that this is happening like from overseas, but yet how are we inciting? You don't think that you have a global reach? Like, this was like the idea where he sat down and go, oh, I haven't thought about how to fix deregulation. And then you're sitting there going, well, it's happening overseas. So clearly we're not the reason. You shined a light on this whole entire issue in Springfield. Just because it's happening overseas doesn't mean that you didn't have a hand in this somehow, right? Either directly or indirectly, probably indirectly, right?
When in reality, the American media has been laundering foreign disinformation. It is disgusting. And every single one of them owes the residents of Springfield an apology. But I think it illustrates something, my friends, that is so sick from the American press in 2024. And it's that instead of talking about the crises in our country, they try to silence the people who are experiencing them. Because their message in talking about these bomb threats and in lying to the American people and saying they came from me and Donald Trump, what they're doing is trying to shut all of us up. They're trying.
So this goes back to, again, guys, the idea that he's calling out. First of all, this is, let's just say, this, you know, the remember, we got to tone down the rhetoric, guys. That's what we got to do. We got to tone down the rhetoric, first and foremost. Second of all, he's trying to blame the media for causing this scene in Springfield, even though he and several of MAGA pundits were the ones who sat there and put a spotlight on this tiny little town. This is, again, gaslighting. This is gaslighting 101. And now we got some good old comedy. Okay, look, I listen, I have family that supports Donald Trump. I get it. I don't blame them. And in fact, what I'm about to show you right now, I don't even really blame this lady. But I think that there is an opportunity here. And this is something that I'm going to be doing in the near future with your guys' support. We'll be able to make it more possible. Is we are going to go out. We are going to interview some people either at a MAGA rally or at the Kamala Harris rally. Either one. And I don't intend to get confrontational. I want to have an opportunity to speak to these people and say, look, did you know about this? Did you know about this? Now, they may not change their mind. The goal isn't to change their mind. The goal is to plant a seed and say, look, Kamala is not that bad. Okay. It's to say, look, let's have a little bit of reasonableness. But this rhetoric that this lady is saying is concerning to me. It is putting Donald Trump in some kind of a holier than thou light. So let's watch this real quick.
Man, he's working.
What is it about Trump that you love so much?
Number one, he's a godly man. He's working for God, for darn sure. Number two, he really cares about us. He cares about us. He cares about what happens to us. He cares about our country. He didn't come in there because he wanted the money. He's got money. He is coming there because he is actually working for God, and he wants to help us, and he wants to get us to he wants to make America great again. And I it's true, but I think he's going to make it even greater, because I don't think, no matter what they try to do to stop him, he's going to come back because he's working for God.
Guys, this has got to chill out, man. I have seen, so there was about a month ago, Donald Trump's plane ended up having like a bad gear or something. And they were like, God's got his hand on this man. And then after the attempt about a month or two ago, it's getting progressively crazier. The bowing down and worshiping of Trump. I'm not a huge fan of it, guys. It's crazy. Here's another one. Here's another clip.
Would it give you any pause?
Oh, for context, the reporter, he invaded Ukraine, killing thousands of people. That's fine. And then, yeah.
I really don't. I have a problem with Ukraine. They're corrupt. I think that people are just ridiculous that they think that Putin's such this enemy. He isn't doing anything. He just wants back what was his.
But he invaded. He invaded Ukraine,
That's fine.
killing thousands of people.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
As a veteran yourself, does it concern you at all that Russian aggression could move even beyond Ukraine?
I don't think Putin's a problem. I think Zelensky's the problem.
Why do you think Putin's not the problem? He's the one that invaded Ukraine and has killed thousands of people.
Because Putin is trying to save his country from the likes of idiots like Zelensky and the elitists.
You know, this administration...
Ukraine.
Guys... So I'm saying, I'm watching these videos and I'm just kind of sitting there baffled. And they mirror talking points. They mirror the talking points of Donald Trump. And when we talk about toning down the rhetoric, listen, the Democrats do their own fair share, sure. But I think that if we want to talk about toning down the rhetoric, I think everybody needs to tone down the rhetoric a little bit. But it's not going to be one person or not. Here's a funny tweet. Your automobile insurance is up 73%. Vote for Trump. I'll cut that number in half. And Aaron Rupar thinks he's running for CEO of Geico. I don't know how Trump is going to. First of all, I don't know where he got the 73%. It is up, but it's not up 73%. I'll tell you that right now. In terms of voting for him and how that'll cut that number in half, don't know how he's going to do that. Good luck. So here's the IVF bill that we were talking about, guys. Donald Trump has kind of swayed back and forth on this. And I thought this was really interesting to me because Donald Trump said that he supported IVF, yet the Republicans blocked the bill to protect IVF. So it's kind of a confusing signal because it's like, why is it that Republicans are not voting for this? The idea is that there's probably a little bit of pork in there possibly. But either way, this is a really bad optical look. It's a really bad optical look. And, we're talking about people not supporting Trump, like we talked about with Joe Rogan. Well, let's look at this one. Well, real quick, before we get into that, I want to do a little bit of shilling, guys. If you are still here and you are watching me on YouTube, please hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. If you are on Twitter, please hit that like button and follow me, please. If you are on Twitch, drop me a follow. If you're being gracious and you want to, subscribe, please subscribe. I love that. Okay. It is September for a little bit still. We still are halfway through it. So I believe it's like 30% off or something like that. So feel free to subscribe. If you are on YouTube or Twitter and you would like to donate, I believe you can go to my YouTube page or Twitch page. And I should have the donation link if you feel like donating. But anyways, we're going to keep doing more videos like this. And let's continue on with the next page. But I just want to do a little bit of shouting out. And again, shout out to Miss Mandy. Appreciate you sharing the stream, especially on YouTube. We are trying to expand on YouTube and it is tough. Right now on TikTok, which I've been ignoring this little thing right up here. TikTok's been doing pretty great. We did our first TikTok live stream yesterday. And on that TikTok live stream, we got a ton of viewers. I was surprised. So that was pretty cool. What's going on, Judgment Free Zone? Whoop, whoop. Exactly. Yeah, we've got 1,100 followers. I started up TikTok probably about 3-4 weeks ago. And we are doing amazing. I am very proud of how TikTok has been going. But we're going to do another one on Friday. So just to give you guys kind of an idea of what the schedule's looking like. I'm not logging off, by the way, guys. So keep still. We're halfway through the stream. Okay. Also, guys, we are also doing a call in. Okay. So if you want to call in, definitely join the Discord. Let me try to get the Discord link for everybody that is in YouTube because I don't have a chat bot for YouTube. I'm going to put the Discord link for all chats. So feel free to join there. And that's our Discord. That is where we will be having open call-ins if you want to jump in there and talk with me about any kind of topic you'd want to talk about. I invited a few people on and say, look, you disagree with me about the economy? Come on in. Would love to have you. In fact, I would encourage you to. I'm itching for a good debate. The problem is a lot of the streamers that do these debate and roundtable things do them at like 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in Central time and I'm working at 5 p.m. Central. So, all right, let's jump back into this. Appreciate everyone of you guys that are still here. Let's go ahead and jump into this one.
Clear over the last year and a half that I've never hesitated to say that on January 6th, President Trump was wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. I had no right to return electoral college votes to the states or to reject votes. But I always would have preferred.
I'm going to say this. I would love to have seen Pence run on the next election cycle, but I think he's getting a little bit up there in age. It's going to be tough. We'll have another Biden on our hands. Literally, it'd be like a Biden on our hands. I mean, he'd be old, and he was the former vice president. But I would love to see a Pence presidency, man. And now we get into the fun stuff. So this is Trump did a town hall tonight. So we have a few good little clips going on here.
Out of the energy, we just have the best. We have Bagram in
Bagram where? Bagram. He's gonna say Afghanistan, right?
Alaska.
Afghanistan? Alaska. What? Huh? Alaska? What are you talking about, Alaska?
Say it might be as big, might be bigger than all of Saudi Arabia. I got it having so much money coming out of the energy. We just.
That was interesting. So apparently Bagram is in Alaska. That's interesting. And now we're getting into some of the tariffs talk. So I know we kind of we're going back to the economy, formatted my tweets in a really bad manner. But let's go into here about the tariffs.
We're going to bring them back. We're not just going to keep, you're losing your jobs, the whole thing, but just so they're building. So I said, where would I go? And let's go take a look at a beauty. He said, well, we'll have to go to Mexico. I said, wait a minute, I'm not interested. No, I want to know here. He said, here we don't build top of the line. We build smaller plants. We build, there's just not that kind of a thing. And I said, isn't it sad? He feels that too. He's a United States guy. But he said, if you want to see the big ones, you're going to have to go to Mexico. They're owned and built by China in Mexico. And there are a number of them going up right now. And they think they're going to make their cars there and they're going to sell them across our line. And we're going to take them and we're not going to charge them tax. We're going to charge them, I'm telling you right now, I'm putting a 200% tariff on, which means they're unsellable. Unsellable in the United States. And then you wonder why it gets shot at, right? Only consequential presidents get shot at.
And he goes on a rant. So the 200% tariff, all right? Let's talk about that one for a second. This is something that Kyle Sweetwater put a picture of, and I want to shout out to Kyle Sweetser. Sorry, I said Sweetwater. Kyle Sweetser. I've been following him on Twitter, and huge shout out to him on this graphic that he provided, even though it's from the BLS. What ends up happening is tariffs those prices start to go up really, really high, and as soon as they end, they drop. The other thing is that the reason why the price goes up is that when you start putting in place those tariffs, and then you start bringing workers here to the United States, well, what ends up happening? We have high wages, okay? What ends up happening is now the price of that product is going to go up to accommodate for those wages increasing or price of labor increasing. And so that's why when the tariffs end, they go down. And not to mention, if a company does still decide to go outside of the United States and still build their product and their manufacturing stuff, it's still going to go up in price. Why? Because they have to incur an additional cost. And especially a 200%. Get out of here with the 200%. I know he's being hyperbolic, but that is just insane. A 200% tariff? Miss me with that. So now we have this one. And I think this is, again, we talk about the rhetoric. Listen to this one.
So my kids keep me humble. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble.
So because Kamala Harris doesn't have kids, Sarah Huckabee's centers went really, 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 really low. What is it? When we go high, they go low, whatever. Yeah. So that happened. Let's listen to this one here about how he's going to bring grocery prices down.
A grandmother of 7 and 3 great-grands, a registered nurse, retired nurse. So I know the cost that goes into raising children and running a household.
Yeah.
People just can't survive now. How are you going to bring down the cost
What up,
of
Tron?
food and groceries?
Good. Very good. Thank you. So we have to start always with energy. Always. I don't want to be boring about it.
This goes back to his initial plan. Remember what we talked about at the very beginning of the stream? It's going back to the idea that what he wants to do is he wants to drill, baby, drill, baby, drill. But apparently here he's going to talk about
There's
windmills.
no bigger subject. It covers everything. If you make donuts, if you make cars, whatever you make, energy is a big deal. And we're going to get that. It's my ambition to get your energy bill within 12 months down 50%. If I can do that, we've done a hell of a job.
This to me feels like what he's trying to do is, remember that when you were in elementary school and the one popular kid that was running for class president was like, I'm going to give everybody free pizza. That's what this feels like.
5 not 15, 50. Interest rates are going to follow, and actually they're going to follow for another reason. The economy is now not good, and interest rates, you'll see, they'll do the
Economy's doing great. Let's take a look at interest rates actually real quick, because I do want to, I'm going to pop over here. Let's look at the Fed's interest rates. I feel like we're getting to a point where we're pretty low, month over month. I think that's what it is. Quarter over quarter. Let's see. Here it is, the rate. So they've gone back up a little bit to try to tame down inflation. So we are still pretty high at 5.33%. So they haven't really brought that down. So that's fair. Fed rate is a little high. Okay.
The rate cut and all the political stuff tomorrow, I think. And, will he do a half a point? Will he do a quarter of a point? But the reason is because the economy is not good. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it. But we're going to get interest rates down, and we got to work with our farmers. Our farmers are being decimated right now. They're being absolutely decimated. And, one of the reasons is we allow a lot of farm product into our country. And we're going to have to be a little bit like other countries. We're not going to allow so much We're going to let our farmers go to work. And I don't know if you remember, I love the farmers because, I had many meetings as president. I had this gorgeous room with this beautiful table that seats about 35 people. And I was with the farmers. Usually everybody wants something. They all want something.
What the hell?
But I was with the...
What the hell? What the hell? What? I didn't ask for all this advertisement. What was that they said about the indoctrination of the books and the library? Wasn't it conservatives that were sitting there making a big stink about books in the kids' library? Now, granted, they were some pretty bad books, but what the hell is this? This is was this from Mike Huckabee? Man, that man looked different. Doesn't American export the majority of the food that we make? I'd have to look at that one. I feel like we do, but I'm not sure.
Farmers
but yeah, so again, it goes back to he wants to do like drill baby drill, right? That's what that comes down to, and I think it's silly. Here's the other one. This is another little clip.
And they never put it up. You know what they did with it? They sold it for 5 cents, and it was expensive oil. It was exactly what the Border Patrol wanted with the
Did Mexico ever pay for it? Nope.
Climb plate on top, which I always hated because I didn't like the look of it. But, they demonstrated it. We had mountain climbers and a couple of drug climbers, too. These guys are amazing. They put 100 pounds of drugs on the back, and they go up the wall like it's nothing. But they couldn't get over the plate. So all of a sudden I said, okay, I'll put the plate on. I didn't like
They absolutely figured out a way of getting around that wall. So that happens. They know how to get around it.
I liked it better without the plate, but it didn't result that disgusting result. And they never put.
So yeah, the drug climbers doesn't. Our kids are getting taught well. So yeah, I mean, look, I'm not even gonna get into the whole book discussion thing. I think it's silly. Vote for your representative. If you don't like what's in your school's library or whatever, vote. Whatever the citizens want, go for it.
Power. And when I hear these people talking about global warming, that's the global warming you have to worry about. Not that the ocean's going to rise in 400 years, an eighth of an inch, and you'll have more seafront property, right, if that happens. I said, is that good or bad? I said, isn't that a good thing? If I have a little property on the ocean, I have a little bit more property.
Yeah, a little bit of property works, right? A little more property that I can sell and overvalue. So this one was really funny, guys. So today's funny news, as we're talking about the cats and the dogs and everything else. Robert F. Kennedy is, I don't know if this is still factual or not, but it looks like under federal investigation or beheading whale with chainsaw. Don't know if it's true or not. But in my response, I put Free Willy, protect the whales, vote Kamala Harris for the whales. I think this is silly. Every time with this guy, it's just like there's something funny going on. Let's see. So that's about it, guys. I think we covered about most of everything. that is on there. These are all my yeah. So we covered a lot of stuff. We are still doing open call-ins, so anybody's more welcome to come in. But yeah, we not really doing like super long streams. You know, honestly, I feel like a good hour and a half, 2 hours is a good stream. If anybody wants to jump in, they are more than welcome to. We were probably going to give it about another 10, 15 minutes. We're just going to chill out, kind of talk about if any of you guys have any questions about what it is that I believe, what it is that I don't believe. I have no problem talking about it. One of the things that I've been pretty passionate about lately is that a lot of conservatives have really been kind of hammering home my political beliefs. And here's the thing. I grew up pretty conservative. I voted Romney in 12. I voted for Trump in 16. And I voted for Cruz in 18. And I voted for Trump in 20. This is the first election that I think that I'm probably not going to be voting for a Republican. But again, if you look at Kamala Harris's policies, the tax deductions, the helping out small businesses, first-time homebuyer programs, and all of these incentives, I think it'd be a great thing for the economy. We have to do it carefully, of course. But I think as a Republican, there's never been a better time to vote for a Democrat. And I still hold that to this day. I've repeated it, and I'll repeat it again, and I'll repeat it again. I think that more people need to actually see what it is that is going on. When you look at how MAGA is behaving, it is abhorrent. And I wish that we would see some more diversity of thought on that side. But I think what we're going to see is that if Trump does not win the election, it is my belief that we are going to see MAGA. This is going to be the beginning of the end for MAGA. That's what my belief is. Again, I don't have a problem with a lot of people who are Republicans and that are struggling. My message to them is look, I was struggling too. I sat there, and what I would do is I would ride the middle. Judgment Free Zone, I think you were in here at one point and may have seen this as well. Tron, you weren't in here necessarily, but there's a few of you guys who might be in here and understand exactly what it is I'm talking about. I would ride the middle. And anytime that I would sit there and kind of give a little bit of benefit of the doubt to my fellow conservative MAGA compadres, it would always end up being there'd be no favors given, right? I'd give a little bit, they wouldn't take it. They would just say, no, sorry. They see the other half of that argument. If I sit there and go, look, I think illegal immigration is, not the greatest thing. But I think that we should also be treating them with a little bit of humanity. They only hear the treating them with humanity thing, and then they start calling me socialist. They ignore completely the fact of what I was just explaining to them. So it's pretty crazy. But anyways, guys, here's what we're going to do. Nobody has jumped into the chat. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go ahead and cut the stream. We are at, yes, totally blinded, really no sharing of thoughts. It was like they were waiting to be triggered. Yeah, exactly. It's like they're waiting for that one time that I kind of give half a thing. But I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, guys. Here's what we're going to do. It's a short hour and a half long stream, but here's the plans, okay? I want everybody to hear this. Friday, we are going to be doing 1 hour on TikTok and 1 hour of Twitter Spaces. Okay, we're going to try Twitter Spaces this Friday. Saturday, we have the Political Compass at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I've got to check in with everybody, see who's available. We do have some new guests that are hopefully going to join us on Saturday, and then we'll do that. If you guys want to continue to watch my content, I am telling you right now, please check out my TikTok. I post there 2 to 3 times a day. So if you want some like up-to-date news, current stuff, and you kind of miss my streams, go follow me on TikTok. Okay. I also encourage anybody who's out there who's watching this, please follow me on YouTube. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. We are trying to grow the brand. We are trying to grow the stream. It's really tough right now because I'm trying to cover a lot of different things between work and everything else. But there is a event going on this weekend. I don't think I'll be able to make it out to, but I'm going to try to make it out to more events. We want to interview more people. I've even got this little thing. Guys, I got to show you this. How many of y'all know somebody that walks around with a blue snowball interviewing people? Well, guess what? I got the hookup. I'm going to play like Pokemon out there. Okay. I'm going to throw the ball at somebody, say, catch Pokemon. I choose you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw it at some. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to be memeing like that, but no, this is the thing we're going to be using to capture audio. And the reason why, because this darn thing right here sucks. It's okay. I might wear it because, well, I can't wear it if I'm plugging this in, but this is okay every now and then, right? That's what I'm saying, Judgment Free Zone. When I hooked this up, it actually sounded really, really clean. And this thing's probably about 40, 50 bucks. These things were like 20 bucks and they sound so terrible. They sound like $1. So yeah, we're going to walk around. I got to probably get like a little tiny boom arm or something like that for this. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to go around. I got to keep an eye out for any kind of like rallies. The problem is that I'm in Texas. And so nobody really wants to come here. Kind of crap. No, dude. Ancom. Okay, Ancom. Hold on. Ancom. Before you leave, buddy. Listen. Which one would you interview somebody with? Okay. Those are your options. Which one do you interview with? This thing or this behemoth? Okay. Come on now. Come on. You know what the choice is, Ancom. It's real simple. All right. This sounds so much better. I take neither. Whoa. Okay. Hold on. Wait. Let's put this in perspective. I don't have $1 million to go out and buy a freaking Rode lavalier mic. Okay. I don't have a Rode lavalier mic. Let me guess. You're going to want to use the audio off of the phone, right? Listen, I'm trying to put this up on YouTube. I'm trying to sit there and like put it up on live stream. This is all on YouTube. And Ancom, for anybody who's unaware, we've also got Ancom. Just get a Samsung Q2 mic. Let me see. I'll look this up real quick because I am in need of getting a new mic, but you know, life of a streamer. I'll put it that way. Full-time job investing. Let me see here. Okay, my guy. Oh, it's a USB mic. Oh. Okay. It's a good point. It is USB. That's interesting. This one I found online. It's like $60. That's tempting. Yeah, because look, this is what I got. Just so you know. Probably already know what I'm talking about. I bought this little adapter thing for my phone. Yeah, it's way more portable than the Snowball. I bought this little tiny microphone or USB jack for it, and I think that I could totally do that. But I do have an event going on in my town for politics, but the problem is the wife has something going on, and it looks like a typical interview mic. Yeah, and I'm sure the audio probably sounds hell of a lot better. I could probably get like a little pop filter over this too. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. It's like, why use that? It's like, this has a USB on this Shure mic has a USB. So I could totally use that as well. I'll have to look into that. I appreciate you telling me that, man, because that is something I could totally do. And then you can always adjust it, right? Like you can always get like an XLR thing that attaches to it. But anyways, guys, yeah, so we are probably going to start wrapping it up here in just a minute. We have a lot to cover, and there's a lot of good, relatively cheap mics out there that don't look horrendous. Hey, man, look, listen, Ancom, are you trying to tell me that this thing looks horrendous? This is pretty cool. Tell me this isn't the cool, like, imagine having this big old thing just floating around on a little boom arm. Okay, just like that. I think that's, but I agree though, like, because the mic is right here, right? So like you'd have to put it in someone's face like this. Wouldn't look too great. At least from a camera perspective. And Ancom, you should have seen me out there last weekend, man. I was interviewing people, but my stream was going in and out. I'm pretty certain I don't think I delisted it. You can go to my YouTube channel and check out the live stream that I did over the past, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. The weekend before. So went to Texas Tribune Festival and it was atrocious. The signal was terrible. But anyways, guys, look, here's what we're going to do. Anybody who's unaware, ANCOM may be on one of our new Political Compass shows, the Political Compass podcast, where we will discuss all sorts of things. Don't forget, Friday we are doing, I want to repeat this before I get off, we are doing TikTok Live, okay? So be sure you are following me on TikTok. We're going to be doing that for about an hour. And then we're also, after that, going to do a Twitter space. Got to find a topic to kind of cover over for that hour with the Twitter space. But we're going to do the Twitter space. I'll see if there's a good one. It may even be 30 minutes. I don't even know if I'm going to do a super, super long one unless like a bunch of people jump in or something. I think it'd be really fun to do. So we're going to do that. And then Saturday's Political Compass. Probably next week. I don't know if I'm going to do like a Thursday stream as well, but it's a lot of days. So we'll see. But anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure seeing you guys. Miss Mandy, I believe was her name. Let me make sure I don't get her name. Miss Mandy Reacts. You guys go check her out. All right. Miss Mandy Reacts shared the love with her viewers. And I appreciate every single body that came in here. Appreciate the love, Judgment Free Zone, ANCOM, SciComm. I will see you guys around. Follow on TikTok and YouTube. Thank you so much, ANCOM. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. I will see you guys on Friday